Hello everybody, it's Amanda. How are you doing? Today is Wednesday. I think it's the 25th of March 2020, and this is the daily update. There's probably going to be two videos from me today, and I'm just saying that because you might not get shown both of them by YouTube. I'm putting out quite a lot of material at the moment. So this is the daily update, and I'm actually putting out the USA read that I did on Sunday the 22nd. So I'm about to sneeze. It'll just happen if it happens. I will do so into my arm as we're supposed to. No, in all seriousness, yeah, USA read. I did it on Sunday. I've sat on it for 3 days, not sure what to do with it. But actually, you should always trust what comes through, because it's making more sense to me now what I bring through in that video. I probably will disable the comments on it, not because I don't want to hear from you, just because it's taking a lot of time moderating comments on every single video that I'm putting out at the moment. And I'm also trying to practice what I preach, which is trying to get some time for myself as well to recharge. So when I put a video out that I know might be a little bit contentious in nature, then I'm just not going to put myself through it at the moment. I probably sound a little bit coldy. My cold's coming out, so it's quite interesting. I'm just going to mention something about symptoms, because what I'm observing in people that I know, I'm just talking about close family, not necessarily family that are living with me either, is a lot of people are reporting that they've got some of the symptoms, but not all of the symptoms. Thank goodness, you know. So I know somebody that's lost their sense of smell and their sense of taste, which is supposed to be one of the symptoms. I had a sore throat. I've had aching limbs, which have now gone. I've now got a bit of a cold, so I'm still not sure whether I've had it or not, to be honest. But I have had some of the symptoms. I've got other family members who are displaying other things, but no one's had the full thing. And I'm just going to have to say this now, because again, I've been sitting on this for probably a month, because it was a piece of information that Metatron gave to me. And to be honest, why I haven't said it is because I'm not sure it really helps a great deal. Sorry, Metatron. But it's quite an interesting thing. It's not necessarily something that is that useful, okay? Because what I heard him say is that we know that we've all got ancestry, don't we? So we all have got within our families ancestors that will have survived or not the pandemics of the past. And in particular, I was shown, because I'm British, I was shown the plague that we know in London, the plague of London. Whether that was a worldwide plague or not, I don't know. But anyway, I was shown the plague of London. And also Spanish flu he talked about as well at the time. But the thing he was saying was that we all have ancestors that survived that, or you and I wouldn't be here, basically. And for some people, we are carrying, when I say immunity is not quite right, because you can still get what's out there at the moment, but maybe you're carrying some form of immunity. There seems to be something that's similar. And I'm no scientist, okay? So I'm just feeling there's some sense of similarity between the virus of old, these viruses of old, and this new virus. And somehow within our DNA, for some of us who had ancestors that were really successful at maybe throwing it off or not catching it in the first place, they seem to have passed down some genes to us whereby we're more able to deal with this. Now, that's what I meant by it's interesting, but it's not particularly useful, because how do any of us know what our ancestors experienced all those centuries ago? But it just keeps coming into my mind as something that I think is true. And this thing about, I'm seeing so many people who've got symptoms but not the whole thing, and thank God I'm seeing that. And I hope that lasts. I hope that lasts. I'm not complacent. I've got a few things I'd like to talk about today. I've actually written down a little list because it's hard when you come on and do these dailies when you haven't got any structure. You know me, I like my structure. So I wanted just to comment on a few things and also a couple of your comments yesterday, which were quite interesting. Where to start with it? I'll start with just a nice little aside. Yeah, so we're into is it day 2 or day 3? I'm already losing track. It's only day 2 of this lockdown, a safe harbour here in the UK. But this morning, my 17-year-old, well, she's about to be 18 in May, she got up at 7:30 and went for a run in the sun. Now, she's never done this in her life. And I'm just so impressed by that. I'm really impressed by her spirit. So I'm also observing that, and I think I'm telling you this because I think there's other kids out there like this, who, when you give them structure, actually can respond quite well to it. Obviously not forever, you know, nobody wants to be in this situation forever. But it's just like at soul level, she's somebody that is quite rebellious, really, likes to do her own thing most of the time. But now there is this very firm structure put in place, which is like, you cannot go out, you can't do what you want to do, but you are allowed out in the UK for once a day. You're allowed out to go and do some exercise. She's grabbing it with both hands and doing it. I think it's brilliant. So I really admire her for that. I think that's great. Maybe I'm not going to join her tomorrow. I am going to go for my walks though. I'm doing my walks. Hey, do you like my t-shirt? Isn't it fantastic? Do you like it, actually? Because if you do like it, I'm going to ask Tony to create some of these for us. She has created some Heart Squad t-shirts. I'll put the link below, okay? I don't know how many she's got left in stock. I did mention it on my Facebook page. I don't think I've mentioned it yet on YouTube. This is not yet for sale in the shop, but this is like a prototype that I'm wearing. And because it's quite warm here today in the UK, I wanted to put a t-shirt on. I thought, yeah, I'm going to put that on. It feels, I just think it's great. Don't you think that's great? I do. So, yeah, you know, let's wear our angel wings and our colour and wear that badge with pride, that basically we are working for the light. A comment yesterday because I was being quite tentative yesterday. I was just putting my little toe in the water to judge it, because there's a lot more I could have said about not going down the rabbit hole, but chose not to. I'm also not going to name any people that are doing it because I think that's wrong. And also I'm not judging anybody that's going down the rabbit holes because, to be perfectly honest, everybody has their own path. And maybe part of your path is you need to do that to come back out into the light. You know, dark and light, they both serve each other at the end of the day. But there was a very good comment in from one of you. I can't say what your name is because I haven't got it here to. I don't know. I can't remember. So apologies. There's a lot going on at the moment. But you mentioned that what you are witnessing in the ones that are being led down these dark rabbit holes in terms of New World Order, martial law, our rights being taken away, you know, some dark stuff, dark timelines, is what happened to everything that you've learned so far on the spiritual path? What happened to you learning that you are, or not learning, what happened to you remembering that you are a powerful manifester, that you create your own reality, that there are multiple timelines going on at any one time? Why would you want to jump onto the timeline that's the sort of most depressing, darkest one out there? Okay. Why would you do that? Why are you forgetting so much of the teaching that has stood you in good stead up to this point, linked to ascension and the planet evolving, like I said yesterday, and the fact that we are reaching a tipping point in terms of consciousness, and it's only going higher and higher and higher. It's not going lower and lower and lower. It's going higher and higher and higher. The fact that you can see dark stuff now happening in our world and being exposed is great, because it's coming up to be healed, because the quotient of light is now so high. So keep with the light. You don't need to go down into the depths and the darkness. And it strikes me that a lot of people are wanting to wallow in that darkness for whatever reason. And you can get really contaminated by that. So you've got to be really careful. I'm also observing that a lot of people seem to be rejoicing in other people's darkness. Okay, so when bad deeds are exposed, it's as though it's almost like there's a party being thrown. And I don't think that's our job. God is the greatest judge. He is the judge, basically. And we don't need to get involved with that. I call it like the gallows. It's like the gallows mentality. We all have that within us, the ones that used to sit around the gallows and watch and observe people get their comeuppance and cheer, you know, and go and have a beer. Great. That's not 5D. That's certainly 3D behaviour. So we don't need to do that. If anything, what we need to be doing is just practicing forgiveness when people do come up and they are served their judgment, and then we walk away and we allow the divine to then bring up the next layer for healing. If you look at the case of Harvey Weinstein, for example, who has been served his judgment now, it's like he's got a double judgment going on, because he's obviously got 23 years in prison. I think he's got another case coming up. He's now got coronavirus. I'm going to use the word, I was satisfied to see that justice had been done, but there was no part of me that was wanting to whoop with joy over it. And the other thing about it is that it actually took extraordinary courage and strength from a couple of women who were willing to take him on and challenge the system to bring that to light. It just took a couple of women. Maybe it was more than that, but, you know, it was a couple of key women that line in the sand said, no, you're not getting away with this anymore. We are raising this now. And then us as a collective had raised the vibration sufficiently so that their voices would be heard. And yeah, the judicial system came in behind them. That wouldn't have happened even maybe 5 years ago, because the energy wasn't high enough and the light wouldn't have won. It's as simple as that. He probably would have got away with it. But the thing about it is that it was those women and maybe some reporters or whatever that brought that to be healed and for justice to be served. It wasn't about lots of thousands and thousands of people watching YouTube channels down in the depths, looking at all of the crimes, looking at all the darkness, pointing the fingers that did it. Okay, so I just think we've got to be very wary. What Metatron is saying is just watch from the sidelines as these activities come out to play. You don't need to get overly involved in them. Metatron is saying the key players that are there to bring people to account are already in place and they already know their job. Now you can watch, but don't get too absorbed into the story, okay? Because the people that are being tasked to bring these people to light are very protected, basically. They're very protected. They're the whistleblowers, okay? They came in with that job. So they're protected. They don't get as contaminated by what they're being asked to do. It's their job, it's their role. The thing is, if it's not your job and your role to get involved in that particular story, what you're doing is you're wading in slightly unprotected into it because it's actually somebody else's business, okay? Make no mistake about it, Metatron is saying somebody has been appointed for every piece of wrongdoing that is due to be exposed in the timeline that it's meant to be exposed on this planet, and they will do their jobs and they will hear the call when they're meant to. So he's almost showing me it's a bit like like a police cordon when I can't remember what it's called, but when an accident happens, and I'm being shown an accident that's happened on a street, for example, and the crowd gathers round. Okay, that's what he's showing me. The crowd gathers round and everyone's trying to sort of see what's happened. And in this day and age, everybody's got their cameras out and they're trying to film the poor victim on the floor writhing around. And then the police come and they just say, back, get back, everybody get back. And that's what Metatron's basically saying, just get back from it. Let the people that are appointed to do that job. You don't have to go into that darkness. It's not doing you any good. Stay in the light. Okay, So that's the first thing. So thank you to one of you that put that great comment up about they're forgetting all the teaching so far, because that is the truth. We must not forget the teaching so far. And it's like, well, what's the teaching? Well, you know, where do you want to start, to be honest? But for me, I'm going back to the basics. And the basics for me, that my upbringing was always Christ energy. Do as you would be done to, you know, love each other as I have loved you. I don't know, there's just so much, there's so much there. So all the good wisdom is already out there. One of you yesterday put something along the lines of, why am I making so many videos and there's too much chatter and there's too many people talking about all this stuff? And I said something like, well, you don't have to watch me, just switch me off. It doesn't matter. You called it a waterfall. Okay, I don't know if you're still watching. Can I just say one more thing to that comment? Because it's actually a really valid thing that needs to be said, which is please, please realise that what we're going through right now as a world is a huge awakening for many people. It's a huge awakening. And so therefore, if lots of people are awakening, they need lots of guidance, okay? And they will choose whichever teacher particularly resonates with them. And there can be 100 teachers all saying exactly the same thing, but there'll be one teacher that you resonate with more than the other, maybe because the tone of their voice, their persona, you like the way they look, I don't know, or they just say something in a way and you might have heard it said 100 times before, but for some reason that particular teacher says it in a particular way where you think, I get it now, or, oh yeah, I remember that. So it's really important, and I think it's brilliant, because I'm noticing so many teachers sort of rising to the challenge of our times and being there for their tribe, basically. So I think it's to be applauded. I've also had a couple of emails in from past students of mine. I'm going to shout out one of them now, Stephanie. Hello, Stephanie. Won't say your second name, but Stephanie is one of my students who's done my courses, and she sent me an email and she said something along the lines of, this is the moment, I'm ready now. I'm ready to truly step up into the light and serve. And it's like she's one of many. And I just think that's brilliant. So realise that what's happening now, it's awakening lots of people that were asleep, but equally those that have been ready but have just been waiting for some reason for that final push to get back out there, now's the moment. So there is, if you could only see the extraordinary, Metatron's calling a flotilla of light. How beautiful is that? I'm looking over there because I'll just show you. I'm looking at his picture. I'm up in my loft, you see. I'm looking at this photograph. This painting. This is the front cover of the Metatron Oracle deck. Maybe I'll put him there. A flotilla of light. How gorgeous is that? You're absolutely right. A flotilla of light. And I'm just seeing, flotillas is what I'm now seeing, if there is such a thing. All these ships, we are the ships. We are the ships, basically, of light. And we're just coming in waves into the world. It's amazing. And it's bittersweet, of course it is, because we're facing many great difficulties and challenges. I want to just now give a shout out to one of you on my page here on YouTube. You didn't tell me what your name is. I think I won't say what your name is. You've got a little tag, what's it called? A YouTube name, but it's not a proper name. Anyway, you know who you are. You left a couple of messages last night on my channel, and you said something along the lines of, I think you've got 4 children and you're facing eviction today, and I want to send out an enormous quantity of strength and courage to you. And I'd like us as a tribe, even though you don't know who this lady is, to just keep her in your prayers, because the thing is, God and the angels know who she is. So she's asked for our help, and I'd like us to give her our help. So to you, I pray that you're kept safe and roof over your head, and you keep well. I send you much, much love. Okay, there's a lot of people in great need out there at the moment. So even though we're talking about this is an amazing moment of spiritual awakening, There is huge hardship out there as well, and I'm not negating that by any stretch of the imagination. So love to you, keep yourself well, okay? Right, what else have I written down here? India. Okay, so the news in overnight, India is going into lockdown. 1.3 billion people. Can you get your head around that? I can't. 1.3 billion people going into lockdown in India. I just had a literally like a 2-minute look at the paper, and I read about it, and there's something, and unfortunately it resonated as truth, and it's something that they were basically saying that along the lines of hunger is what we particularly fear more than the coronavirus. Okay, so again, I think light workers who have the energy, only if you've got the energy. If you haven't got any energy and you're feeling tired or low, you don't need to do this. But those of us that have got the energy, light a candle for India today, because they're in great need, and 1.3 billion people about to be locked down. Many of those people probably with not the supplies that they need either. So they're in great need. Yeah, I've written below this USA quarantine. The reason why I'm releasing the USA video today is that it's making sense now. I don't want to say too much because I want you to watch the video, but this thing about lifting the quarantine too early. All countries have got to listen to the experts' advice. That came through in one video I did recently, didn't it? I mean, I know it's pretty obvious really, but it was something where Metatron was saying, we all, do you remember the video? I was talking about we all, whether we're President of the United States or whether we are anybody else, we all have to recognise a moment when we have to bring in the experts. And what we can be is experts in our particular field. But what nobody can be is an expert in everything, you know? Nobody can be an expert in law, an expert in medicine, an expert in animals, an expert in healing, an expert in cooking. You know, you just can't. You're an expert, you know. Remember what I was saying? It's about refine what you are expert in, and then we can all shine our lights very brightly around the world. So not taking the experts' advice, the medical men, that needs to be, I'm concerned about that basically. But I think when you watch the video I'm going to put out today, it's going to make more sense. USA got 2 Hierophant cards came out in the spread, 2, because I was using 2 different decks. And the Hierophant is the card of teaching needed in terms of lessons need to be learnt. So anyway, I won't go on too much about that here. You can watch that video. Somebody else mentioned this morning barefoot meditation in the garden. I'm just going to take my vitamin C tablet. Hold on. Vitamin C and David Bowie. There's a tonic, hey? Yeah, where the weather is nice and you're able to get outside, make sure that you're standing, if you can, barefoot on the earth. Just as a way to centre yourself and align yourself, a way to feel the earth underneath your feet and to recognise that the earth is beating as she always beats. The mother's heartbeat is beating strong and regular and is your solid foundation at this time, okay? Also, the thing about earthing and grounding, when you stand barefoot outside on grass or just outside, is that it helps to take away a lot of the static. A lot of us, because we're inside and we're on our phones, we're on our computers, we're watching our TVs, we're watching Netflix. I know not everybody is. I'm not actually, but you know, a lot of people are. I'm not judging it, but a lot of people are. You're picking up a lot of electromagnetic energy around yourself. So going and standing in the garden is going to do you an enormous good because it just takes it all down into Gaia, okay? And you just ground yourself again. But I also think it's just going to be very, very stabilising. Right, let's just pull a couple of cards for today. and see what we want to get. I'm using a lovely deck here, which somebody sent me in. Paulina Cassidy sent me this deck. It's her deck. You're a very, very creative lady, Paulina, because you've got loads of decks, and she does music, she does poetry. I'm very impressed. And it's quite unusual artwork. When I say unusual, I mean unique in a good way, okay? It's nice for people to do things that are very unique and different. So, well, on the bottom of the card, we've got the card of Temperance, which is patience. I think I'm going to take that. And then the Three of Cups. And then the Six of Cups on the top, okay. Yeah, these make sense to me. So Six of Cups, we're sort of remembering how life was even a week ago, you know, even like 3 days ago. I went to the supermarket 3 days ago and it was completely normal. Went with my daughter. Well, it wasn't normal. The shelves weren't as full, but it was fine. I'm actually dreading going to the supermarket now when I next need to go, because, you know, there are all these rules imposed now. You can't get near anybody. You've got to queue, I think, to get into the supermarket 2 meters apart. They sanitize your trolleys. I mean, it's all good and it's all necessary, but I'm just not looking forward to the experience. So I'm looking back to even like 3 days ago. It's like, oh God, it was so carefree then, you know. In a way it was. 2 weeks ago, it was really carefree. Looking back, I'm missing that. But, you know, the Three of Cups here is, sorry, Six of Cups, that's the card of the past. The Three of Cups is the one that's saying, it will be again, okay? It will be again. It's the card of reunion for me. It will be again. But you've got to be patient. We have to sit this out. We actually have to do as we're told for once. And, you know, we've all grown up. I mean, I'm a child of the 60s. So, you know, and then I was a young person in the 80s, you know, the yuppie era. You could have anything you wanted to. You know, why could you not have it all? Thatchers Britain, 1980s. That's when I was sort of growing up. It was that whole energy of, you know, of course you can have it all. Work hard, you can get it. Let's not get into the politics of whether that was true or not, but that's just the energy that was there. Plus the 60s, 1967, Summer of Love, bingo, here I am. All of a sudden, 2020, it's like, oh, hold on a minute, you can only go out of your house once a day. It's like we're all a bit like being these little children. It's like, well, no, but I want to. I saw a hilarious video on Facebook yesterday. It was two adults playing the roles, but one adult was playing the role of the kid, you know, and the kid's there on his Xbox, you know, and he's enjoying, well, sort of enjoying his quarantine. He's just there on his Xbox. He's behaving himself. Very much like my daughter. Yeah, she's being an angel. She's normally a bit, you know, have to be a bit, she's just spirited. She's got a good spirit, but she's obeying. But it's like the grown-ups. It's people like, you know, my parents are just like, no, you know, I want to go out. I've got oldies in my street. No, why can't we go out? And this is what the video is about. It's like this boy, he's on his Xbox, he's obeying, he knows what he has to do. And then the father wants to go out of the front door, this older father. And the boy says, what are you doing, Dad? You can't go out. You're not allowed to do that. And he throws this massive tantrum like a 3-year-old does and throws his coat on the floor and says, well, I want to, you know, because, you know, it's my right to do it. And it's just so funny because the roles are reversed, you know. The teenager, for once, actually, and I'm seeing it in my home thinking, no, it's just the way it is. We're going to be fine. And it's like the adults are having the tantrums, you know, and some adults are having even bigger tantrums than others, but we won't go there. So, patience. We are learning patience. I mean, the patience card comes out for me personally all the time when I ever do readings for myself. And I feel like throwing it out the window every time I see it. 'Cause it's like, not that again. How much more patient do I have to be? But I'm saying that tongue in cheek because, of course, I know damn well, yeah, it's one of your lessons, actually, that you came in with, Amanda, to learn patience. You've been given a perfect opportunity now to do it. Do it. Oh, really? There are so many blessings in this time. There's so many gifts within this difficult period. And it's what we teach, isn't it? What we've taught, what we've read, what we've believed for so many years, that within darkness there is light. There is always light within the darkness. Within anything that happens to us, there's always something good that comes out of it. So I like those cards. Let me just put the pictures up so you can see her lovely work. Where do we start? This was the Six of Cups. There's Bella. That's the Three of Cups. Isn't it lovely? And that's Patience, Temperance. The way she's drawn that person, it looks a bit like an egg timer, you know, like the sand has run to the bottom. It's like what happens with the egg timer, you just put it back, don't you? When it all tips to the bottom, you just put it back, and then it, you know. There's probably a meditation to do with an egg timer, you know. Is it called egg timer? You know, the one with the sand. Yeah. Watch that. Maybe just, yeah, I'll try and maybe see if I've got one and bring one into tomorrow's session. Okay, I want to just end with one of these cards from yesterday, the Universal Oracle cards by Christina, Georgieva. Let's just see what we get from here as well. And then I'm going to get on into the sunshine. Independence, yeah, it's what I was just saying about the grown-up man having a having a 3-year-old tantrum. I'm used to being independent. I like my independence. Of course, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm very, very independent. But right now, you know, let's turn it around. So rather than thinking I'm imprisoned here, I can't do what I want to do, I'm used to being able to live my life the way I want to live it. You're not able to at the moment. So it's like, you know, just get over it. You can't do that at the moment. So what we're being advised to do is to look at self-sufficiency and sovereignty. Whoa, self-sufficiency and sovereignty. Wow. We're being given an opportunity here to look at our own sovereignty. That we are sovereign. That our world is in here. And what's out there is a reflection of that, but our world is in here. So let's change what's in here, and then we can change the outer world. Once we get our freedom, that world outside can be transformed. And yeah, it's got the word freedom. Freedom is the flip side to what a lot of us are feeling we've got at the moment, because we haven't got the freedom. But how sweet is it going to be when we're given that again? How sweet is that freedom going to feel? How much more are we going to appreciate that? It's like the person that's actually been physically let out of a prison. I'm being shown Nelson Mandela in my mind. And I would imagine the first day, the first moment that Nelson Mandela stepped out of his prison cell. And what we're going through is nothing compared to what that man went through. Nothing, you know. But he smelt freedom. How sweet was that? We're getting a little tiny glimpse of what that felt like, or we will feel it at some point when it is divinely right for us to be given the keys back. But we're learning self-sufficiency and sovereignty. And I rather love the fact that it comes with the card of the cat. You know, the cat is completely its own animal, isn't it? You know, very, very self-sufficient. So those of you that have got cats, they're going to be good teachers at the moment. Self-sufficiency as well. I'm going to get out and we're going to do some gardening. And a lot of people are planting vegetables for the first time. People going to their allotments. I've heard people getting chickens for eggs. We're not going to do that, but we are going to plant some vegetables. We usually do anyway, but this seems like a perfect opportunity to do it. So there's an awful lot of gifts within this period that we've got. Right, I'm going to upload this. Much love to everybody. Take care of yourselves. See you tomorrow. Bye for now.